And now back to the Hamilton Report.
Welcome back. If you're just now joining us, before the commercial break, we began talking about space travel and its future implications. Here to help me with this topic is my good friend, Dane. Dane, come on down.
Hi, Mr. Hamilton. Hello, everybody.
Now, Dane, you work with NASA. What exactly does that mean?
Well, obviously, we work in space.
All right, now, how do you work in space? That would require some kind of equipment, I assume.
Yes, it requires a spacecraft.
And what are those?
Those are basically vehicles that survive in space.
It's interesting. Now, we have different types of vehicles here, earthbound. Is it the same way in space?
Well, yes, there is. There's unmanned vehicles and there's manned vehicles.
Now, I'm assuming the difference is that there are people on manned vehicles.
Yes, astronauts. You would be right in that assumption.
All right. Now, with the unmanned and manned, are there subgroups under those topics?
Yes, for example, unmanned space stations would be satellites and space probes, while manned would be space shuttles.
Interesting. Now, you say shuttles. I believe those are what we sent to the moon.
You'd be right in that assumption.
All right. How exactly do those work?
Well, I mean, you have to have an oxygen supply so that your astronauts, if it is a manned spacecraft after all, survive. And to get into space, we have to have things called launch vehicles.
All right, and how do those work?
Well, they have certain stages of boosters that allow them to go through our atmosphere and into space.
Very interesting. And a booster is the fiery jet thing?
You'd be right in that assumption.
Interesting.
Though I don't think that's exactly quite the scientific term.
We're all friends here. Now,
We are.
unmanned
We are.
vehicles that don't have people, are they any different? How do they function?
Well, they're mostly run purely by technology. And we have certain stations here on Earth that are non-space stations that will send signals and receive signals from those satellites.
Interesting. Now, is there a limit to how far we send them, or what do you know about them?
Honestly, we can send things out of our galaxy.
That's interesting. Now, you said at one point when you were talking about satellites that they orbit. What does that mean?
Orbiting is where, you see, you don't use any outside force or inside force to make you move at all. You just simply use the Earth's gravity to keep you in orbit and spinning around the Earth.
So you move in sort of a circle around the planet.
You'd be right in that assumption.
That's very interesting. What's the purpose?
That way you don't have to consume any fuel and you can stay up there longer.
Why do we want to stay up there?
Because we use satellites for many things, such as your cell phone, your TV, anything.
Oh, that's interesting. Are there any actual scientific reasons, or is it just modern day necessities?
Well, actually, there are certain satellites that have people on them, such as the International Space Station, where we conduct scientific tests dealing with space.
That's very interesting. This has been Dane, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hamilton, and this is the Hamilton Report. Now, if you'd all look under your chairs, you get a satellite, you get a satellite, you get a satellite, you all get satellites. We're done
Do I
here.
get a satellite?
No.